Around 3 years ago, two swords dropped at the exact same time. And if you would have told me that they would be neck and neck till this day, I would have not believed you. Matter of fact, I would have egoed the hell out of you. But I would have been wrong to do so. Bequest and Lament, where one has been basking in the spotlight as the king of sword DPS for 3 years now, the other one has been an underdog in the making, and he has come for his title. Bequest is an adaptive frame legendary sword that can roll with a few perks that would be goated on any weapon. But to cut to the nitty gritty, I'll let you know just the ones that everyone is talking about. This would be Relentless Strikes and Surrounded. But hold up, isn't there another sword that can roll this same exact roll and has been the top used sword since season 15 of Destiny 2? So why is Bequest getting all this attention? The reason for that is because Bequest is the only adaptive frame sword with a base impact stat of 70, while the rest sit at a base impact of 60. And when stacking on Jagged Edge and maxing out the Masterwork, its impact can get all the way up to 78, which sits right next to Lament. So in terms of what's the better sword for DPS, it all boils down to its perks. Relentless and Surrounded versus Tireless and Banshee's Wail. In this video, we will be going over total damage and DPS values, and most importantly, practicality and ease of use with these swords. But first up, DPS testing. For DPS, I took it straight to Ekthar in the Ghosts of the Deep dungeon. And the testing components that went into each of the swords are Radiance, 2 Lucent Blade mods for what it's worth with Bequest, and 3 Surge mods for the respective element types for each sword, being Solar for Lament and Arc for Bequest. There will be no debuffs or Banner of War implemented in these tests, but I will calculate for that damage added in the graphs for when we get there. Starting off, Bequest. And with all the little buffs added along with Surrounded having a 100% uptime, this sword is dealing 88,123 per hit on the shield, which does count towards overall damage on the wipe screen, for a total of 6 times. Until the final swing for the shield break doing 77,501, and then after that the sword does 47,315 per hit till the end of the damage phase, which is around 30 seconds. But for a more pinpoint time, I took it into Premiere Pro and cut it up from the very first swing to the very last swing and got a time of 30.16 seconds. Now for calculation, I did not take the damage shown up on the wipe screen. Instead, I slowed down the footage and tallied up every number I saw and put it into a spreadsheet. And as for total damage of the one phase, I got 3,255,000 and some change. And when dividing that up by the duration of the damage phase, we get a DPS value of 107,000, which is a solid start for Bequest. But let's take a look at how the King Lament goes about damage. For the first light attack on this shield, we get 3 damage values that total up to 92,592. And for the second light attack, we get yet another 3 damage values, but this time stacking up to 113,168. And to finish it all up with the heavy attack, now I know it looks like a mess, but trust I went through the stress to decipher what numbers were what, and this leads to the heavy attack totaling to 339,504. Then shortly after, followed up with a regular attack for 55,701. Now that the shield is broken, we get steady numbers from here on out. Our first light attack for 49,715, our second light attack for 60,763, and our heavy attack for 182,284. Then an intermission regular swing for 33,143. And after painstakingly scanning through the footage, grabbing any and every number the Lament dished out, and when it was all said and done, the Lament came out to a total of 3,208,000 with some change, with a time of 28.27 seconds, for a DPS calculation of 113,484. So in terms of raw DPS, it is quite literally neck and neck with these two swords, with Lament only being slightly in the lead. But if you have taken any note to my DPS perspective video, you would know that this is a huge deal, because for every second that passes, Lament will be doing 5,530 more damage than you. But believe it or not, Bequest is not out of the race just yet, for the sheer reason that it can roll with Relentless Strikes, which can generate ammo just by simply attacking the boss. This is something Lament cannot do, making it to where at a certain point in damage, Lament will fall flat and Bequest will still be going. So by doing some some quick math, we can learn that the true mag size of Bequest is 83. And that's not all. You see, Lament's mag size is not quite accurate as well. For every time we use the heavy attack in our rotation, it costs 2 ammo. So not every attack is a ratio of 1 for 1. And because doing math for that is way too complicated, I just started swinging and counted out every attack for a total of 47 attacks, making it to where Lament's heavy damage capabilities only go so far. Now for these numbers, we will be using only the stagnant damage numbers that we used for Ekthar, and we'll be calculating them on a sheet. And they are, yet again, neck and neck. But this time, Bequest is just slightly ahead. And in all of this testing, these two swords have been close ties this whole time. Bequest is a legendary sword, by the way. But let's get into practicality. To all my fellow Bequest fans, this unfortunately goes out to you more than the Lament users. For all this testing, for every encounter and calculation I did, this is all perfect world damage. Meaning the stars need to be aligned in such a way for you that everything was procced and the boss was right where he needed to be. The boss was in the Well of Radiance, surrounded, had a 100% uptime, the surges were present at all times, so far and so forth. And you might be saying that this is the same for Lament, and it's not. The surges in Well of Radiance, sure, stars have to be aligned there, but Lament procs its own damage perk, and Surrounded needs a minimum of 2 basic adds in the area as well as the boss in order to keep up with Lament. Bequest's only foot in the race can be lost for a split second and lose out on a 41% buff for many of the reasons. The ad could have just left your vicinity. Maybe you accidentally tracked and killed him. Your teammate just tuned out the setup for damage and is just killing ads randomly. And if your teammate is a Sunbracer's Warlock, you can kiss any hope of Surrounded being procced goodbye. At this point, just cut your losses short and use Lament. And these ads need to be a maximum of 8 meters away. This is not a large distance at all. Even for Crota, you need the boss in a very specific location in order to be able to use Surrounded. And with that much constriction going on, with only returns that are slightly different than Lament, I cannot justify using it. So therefore, I won't be using it still. Now this is the part where I say if you can make it work, go for it. But it has little to do with you and everything to do with your team not caring enough to just continue getting shots so you can have a 40% buff to your weapon. If you have a dedicated team, should be fairly easy to do. But if you rely on LFG, then good luck to you. This is where I'm gonna call the video, and if it enlightened you at least just a little bit, then hit that like and subscribe. We just started our journey to 3,000 subs, and your help getting there would mean the world to me. Now take care, y'all.